Hello everyone, it's John, your go-to source for the latest news stories that are causing a stir across the country. Today, we're diving into a situation that has sparked outrage and disbelief among many, a Muslim call to prayer echoing across a British housing estate. This story takes us to Wales, typically known for its warm and welcoming communities. But recently, this sense of harmony has been tested as locals were startled by the amplified Islamic call to prayer, heard loud and clear throughout the neighbourhood. It's one of those stories that really makes you stop and think. Now, let's break down what happened. The event in question took place in a seemingly quiet Welsh estate, where residents were left in shock as the Muslim call to prayer, known as the Adhan, reverberated through their streets. While Wales is generally known for its inclusivity and multicultural harmony, this instance has sparked debate over whether religious practices, especially those amplified in such a public manner, belong in residential areas. For many residents, hearing the call to prayer wasn't just a cultural experience, it was a wake-up call, quite literally. The Adhan is recited 5 times a day, including early morning at around 5 a.m. To some in the community, being woken up at such an early hour by a loudspeaker, chanting in a language they don't understand, felt intrusive. Many have questioned the appropriateness of broadcasting religious rituals in this way, especially when they disrupt the daily lives of those not participating in the faith. Take a look at this clip. Yeah, this is our country, Britain, unfortunately. This incident has ignited a larger conversation about cultural integration and respect for local traditions. Some are saying that those who come to the UK should adapt to British ways of life, rather than imposing their own customs on others. This sentiment is becoming increasingly prevalent, particularly as the country grapples with the impacts of multiculturalism and the balancing act between inclusivity and maintaining the nation's cultural identity. This is not the first time a public display of faith has caused a stir. In urban areas, particularly in cities like London, the Muslim call to prayer has been broadcast in certain neighbourhoods for years. However, bringing this practice to more rural or residential areas like this Welsh estate, where the local culture is not used to such displays, is being seen by many as an overstep. The big question that has emerged is, should there be limits on religious expression, especially when it affects the lives of others who don't share the same beliefs? When speaking to a few residents of the area, their reactions were quite mixed. Some felt deeply uncomfortable with the loud broadcasts, expressing concerns about the growing visibility of religious practices that seem at odds with local customs. "It's just not right. We didn't ask for this," said one resident, visibly frustrated. "I get that people have different beliefs, but why do I have to hear it in my own home?" Others in the community, however, saw the event as a sign of the changing times. A young mother we spoke to commented, "This is modern Britain, isn't it? We live in a multicultural society, and we should learn to accept that. It might be uncomfortable at first, but I think it's something we can get used to." While the debate continues, it's clear that a balance must be struck between the freedom to practice one's religion and the responsibility to respect the cultural norms and sensitivities of the broader community. In this case, the amplified call to prayer has become a flashpoint in the ongoing conversation about immigration, integration, and what it means to live in a culturally diverse society. Beyond the cultural clash, there are also legal implications. UK law does allow for freedom of religion, and people have the right to worship as they see fit. However, when religious practices, such as the Adhan, disrupt the peace in residential areas, It raises questions about whether there should be limits on religious expression. Some have suggested that local councils should enforce stricter regulations on amplified broadcasts in residential neighbourhoods, ensuring that such practices don't infringe on the rights of others. Under the current regulations, loud public broadcasts of religious or other announcements typically require local council approval. In this case, it's unclear whether the organisers of the adhan had the necessary permission or if it was simply an act of oversight. Either way, it's a topic that local authorities are now being forced to confront as tensions rise. One question many are asking: how far should tolerance go? Should locals have to endure practices that significantly impact their day-to-day lives in the name of diversity, or is there a line that shouldn't be crossed? Unsurprisingly, this story has caused a ripple effect across the UK, with people chiming in from various parts of the country. On social media, the opinions are just as divided. Some commenters were outraged, calling for stricter controls on public religious displays, while others urged people to be more accepting of Britain's changing demographic landscape. "I'm sick of this. If you come to this country, you live by our rules. Full stop," said one user in a fiery post. Meanwhile, another responded, "People need to stop being so sensitive. We live in a multicultural world, and hearing a different prayer isn't the end of the world." This is certainly not a new debate, but one that seems to grow more contentious with each new incident. Over the years, the UK has prided itself on being a melting pot of cultures. However, with that comes inevitable friction, especially when practices unfamiliar to a majority population become more visible. As this debate continues to unfold, local officials in Wales are likely to review the situation. There may be new regulations introduced to manage the broadcast of religious prayers in residential areas. Alternatively, more dialogue between religious communities and local residents could help address the underlying tensions. It's possible that compromise could be reached, such as limiting the volume or timing of the prayer broadcasts. In the broader context, this incident serves as a reminder of the challenges that multicultural societies face. The UK, like many other Western nations, is grappling with how to accommodate growing cultural diversity while maintaining social harmony. As we move forward, these discussions will only become more frequent, and how they're handled will shape the future of Britain's multicultural identity. So, what do you think? Is this just part of living in a multicultural society, or has this gone too far? Should there be limits on how religious practices like the Islamic call to prayer are broadcast in public spaces, or should we learn to live with these changes? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. If you haven't already, don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more updates on the stories that matter most to you. As always, thanks for tuning in, and I'll catch you in the next one. Stay informed and take care.